Straight like close to the heart of the crowd. We're flipping the script, turning it around. Every voice we hear, every soul we find has a spark of truth that can change your mind. It's the reversal, turning it all upside down. The reversal, truth from the lost and found. Hope in the heartbreak, light in the rain. The reversal, you'll never see the same again. The reversal.
Okay, well, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Reversal Podcast with myself, Lawrence East, and my co-host, Dr. Sandy Shire.
Hi.
And the Reversal Podcast is all about discovering beauty and truth and profound wisdom in the lives and the stories of people that we've encountered and we want to introduce to you. And over the years, as Sandy and I worked with frontline communities in experiencing homelessness and addiction, we just discovered more and more that there was incredible beauty and truth and remarkable wisdom to be discovered in some of the least likely places. And a number of months ago, I had the incredible privilege of meeting Guy, our guest today. And we did a little video for an organization that Guy works for that we'll hear more about. But in doing so, was tremendously inspired by Guy and his story and his outlook on life and the journey that he's been on. And so I thought it'd be fantastic to invite him and have him tell some of his own story.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting to know you better.
Well, and welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So how are you feeling today? I know you've driven quite a ways to be here, and here we are. We're going to talk a little bit. I just want to check in with you and make sure just, how are you coming today?
Feeling good. You know, it's a bit like a follow-up where things were left the last time. And things are getting easier, I guess. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your life today?
Well, presently, I still work for the Upper Room Mission. I'm the executive driver. I pick up food and donations for the mission and have an helper with me. It's interesting. It's never the same. And we pick up all sort of things, food and sometimes furniture and so on. And so, and you meet people. So there's a wide variety. And that's what it's interesting about it.
What's a good day look like for you?
Well, a good day is a short day.
Yep.
Yeah. I get there and I open the gate and start the vehicle, and usually, we have like a schedule, and we know pretty much what we'll pick up. And some days, like Thursday, for instance, is my day off, and other than that, like Tuesdays and Fridays, we go to the same place. So we pick up, vegetables and fruits and meet people. That's what's interesting.
Okay. From my experience in the time we spent driving around and filming things and stuff, you're clearly a people person. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess I would say yeah.
Yeah. Where does that come from? Was that since you were a child or?
I guess, I used to live in a school bus for a while, and I was trying to convince myself, well, I'm a hermit, but then that didn't work so good. So for the brain says, no, you're not an hermit, Guy. But I'm pretty much a social, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
Guy.
Okay, I just want to interrupt here.
Yeah, sure.
You lived in a bus. Tell me more.
Well, it's a bus that I purchased from Prairie Bus Line in Alberta, in Red Deer.
Like a big bus? Little bus?
It was like a 34-foot long, 42 passenger. And first thing I did is I pulled all the seats. That was a chore and a half because I was looking for an extra hand to pick up the nut at the bottom. But that took me a couple of days to pull all the seats. I had a wood stove. That was like the centerpiece. At some point, I put a skylight. That was like natural light. I really like it. And at the end, it was on one side, it was the bathroom, and it was like a corridor, and on the other side was the like not the throwaway, but I had like a wardrobe and a kind of like a dresser, and it was very functional and a very very like my wife says, like, oh yeah, the kitchen. She misses the kitchen from time to time. Like cooking with propane, it's very quick, and like gas or natural gases. Yeah, it was a good time.
So you're a people person. You're obviously a driver,
Yes,
and
drive people
you
crazy.
have mechanical drive people crazy. I love it. You're super fun. You have mechanical background.
Yes.
You're almost you do mechanics and carpentry.
I did a lot of welding.
Yeah.
I'm a millwright, and at some point I hope that I'll challenge the exam. Sorry, I started to do the Red Seal ticket, and it's in Burnaby. It's 3 hours long to write the exam. You got an extra hour because it's my second language,
Right.
and
It's in English.
so you got to read the exam and so on. But yeah, I'd like to challenge the exam. And I started doing welding when I was 14 years old. So a lot of welding, stained glass, and
Stained glass.
yeah, I love stained glass.
Wow.
That was probably my therapy when I was a teenager.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit of your upbringing, like where you grew up and
Well, I grew up it was a really rough time. Born 65, grew up in the late 60s in Granby, Quebec. It's a stone throw outside Montreal. At the time, there were a lot of violence. It was a violent time, but thank God it was the 70s. Like the 70s were great. I don't know what else to say, but they were great.
yeah.
You missed a great era.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I was born in 75, so I snuck in, but I was only in those first 5 years.
yeah.
Yeah. And so growing up, you obviously started to accumulate different skills. Like how do you suddenly get into doing stained glass?
Well, my mom had she had like two or three arts and crafts stores. So sometimes she would say, so at 14, she asked me, what do you want? I said, I want a welder. I want a welding machine. So I would cramp the amps, and then sometimes the lady would say, I like this harp. I think it's called a harp in French, but I really like this lampshade, but I would like it to have it this way. So I would basically customize it, and I would cut it and re-weld it, and then yeah.
That's incredible. And then by the time you were in your teenage years, you would just you doing lots of these different...
Go-karts.
Wow.
Because Granby was a town of dirt bikes and go-karts and a lot of things you do yourself, and yeah.
It seems to me like even just stained glass, apart from all the other stuff, that must be a dying art. There can't be too many people who do that anymore.
I understand, like, some of it there's a way you could circumnavigate it, do it with plastic or hot glue or something. But yeah, the art itself, yes. Yeah, definitely dying, yeah.
My mom used to do stained glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
That
one
makes
of her
me feel
hobbies.
really young.
Yeah.
But it's a good trade. I mean, it's a very good hobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said it was violent in the neighborhoods and stuff in those times, but was that like, in those early years, were there things was life easy? Was it hard?
Well, it was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
But I guess it was more, I don't want to mention any affiliation, but back then in Montreal, things were moving.
Yeah.
And even so moving so much that even they would have repercussion in the town around, like, it's quite a stone throw, but 72 kilometers southeast, you would hear things,
Mm-hmm.
happening in Montreal. And so
It
would
affected
have,
your town.
yeah, it would have like ripple effect, I guess.
And so something, I mean, about, is it cultural? Is it personal? What led to that kind of bohemian spirit, or like choosing to live in a bus or travel across the country?
Yeah, well,
or did that come many years later?
Yeah, that's right. I saw, like, living in the bus was kind of like a culmination of things. You know, you try to be as good as what you did last, and you know, you carry on, you move on to another trade, and then try to encompass all of it together.
Right.
But living in a bus and traveling, that was a very good, like, it was really good experience. It was a lot of fun, and I had like a couple of solar panels, but it was really, really it was an eye opening.
And you were married when you were living on the bus? Yeah.
Starting to, because I convinced myself at one time that I'll be a bachelor, but things do change.
They do change.
Yes.
You're right. Especially, yeah.
I moved here from Alberta, and I was there with my big dog. I had a big dog, big Newfoundland dog, and a bus. And I was living not too far from the BX dog park on a ranch. And I would never get full-time work. I was the head mechanic at the Rise Golf Course. I was there for a couple of seasons, and I worked at Crystal Mountain Ski Resort, but it was never full-time work. It's a bit of a blur. I know that I started drinking alcohol, and I was drinking more and more every day. And then one day, it was in September, and I was by Polson Park, and then it's like, okay, I just drank 30 beers now, and I just have a bit of a tickle, bit of a headache. I might as well go to bed, but because the day was starting, I stayed up, and it was no end to it.
Yeah.
So when did things start to become harder? Like, was there a time, like, in terms of sobriety and those things?
Yeah, basically I sold the bus, and some government people didn't really like us being with a woman, and ended up having a daughter, and we had to move to Falkland, a little town up north of Vernon, and then that place sold, so we had to leave this place. So I ended up going back to the ranch and talk with the lady. She goes, yeah, by all means, come back. But I just sold the bus, but I had purchased a tiny home. And and then shortly when we moved there, back on the ranch, a month and a half in, we learned that the ranch sold. And it was for many years for sale, but it didn't sell due to the price. But then it did sell. So, and then that year was like not a good year.
So if I remember rightly, you were sort of like not the general manager of the ranch, but you were doing a lot of the stuff to maintain things and repair things.
So like a caretaker kind of role?
Bit, you know, whatever needed. Like the second day I was there were some, I think it was a mayor, like she kicked some doors. So I helped the landlady to put the door back and reinforce it. But that summer it was like pretty hard on all of us because we got evacuated 3 times. And there's a
fire. Due to fires?
Yeah, due to the fires.
Yeah.
And there's a fire that started basically right below Becker Lake, Becker Lake. And it was right in our backyard, basically.
How old was your daughter at that point?
I think she was about 3-ish, 4.
Yeah.
Now she's 8.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Were you struggling with alcohol at that point? Or?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Like the alcohol thing was totally circumstantial.
Okay.
I tried to get my job back at a golf place, and the place sold. So they hire a whole bunch of people from different places. So I didn't get that job back, and basically, I started having like a beer a day, and then it was like my 6-packs would last me 6 days, and then it would last me 2 days, and then it would last me a day. I was okay for a while, but then we're like with the fire, and then we sold the bus, and then towards like it was really chaotic. You know, we didn't have a place to stay other than a tiny home, but a tiny home was okay, but it was not really. The wife didn't like it. It was too tight. It was too small. But that summer, I remember like they had not a polar vortex, but they had like a heat dome. It was 48.5.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
basically, for 3 weeks, we slept outside on the ground and dousing ourselves with water. And
Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of our viewers, one of the things that we say to people is like, for people watching and listening, is we want to challenge people's preconceived ideas. There are sort of like, people have stigmas about
yeah,
addiction or homelessness, and there are some ideas like somebody wants to be homeless or somebody wants to be in.
well, you know what?
addiction.
I'm glad you say this, because it's when just when I was driving, I was thinking, I'd like to come up with, I don't know, geese principle or whatever, with some kind of a formula. But I can tell you one thing is, like, the more time you spend outside, the longer it will take to be redomesticated. Like, if you spend a night outside, or a couple, or weeks and weeks and months, that will take you longer to be kind of wanted to go back.
The
I don't know.
adjusting back.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it, but
How long were you homeless?
well, it happened 3 times. So touch wood, it was the 3rd time, and but it was always like a stint of 4, 5, 6 months, and
Okay.
all those times that were basically winter times, so, or end of summer.
How old were you the first time you experienced being homeless?
I was 34.
So that's you spent 34 years of your
Yeah.
life living indoors, like in a home, in a
Yes.
place, or a bus.
Yeah,
But then all of a sudden you're in that very vulnerable space.
yeah. And a month prior, or 2 months prior, I should say, I was flying helicopters in Langley, and then I kind of went way high to pretty street low. So
So I totally forgot about this. This is
This is amazing.
this is
You are
another amazing part of the story.
Wow.
So Guy was training to be a helicopter pilot.
yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about
It's
that?
you know what, I've talked with a lot of people that are still in the field. A very good friend of mine in Kamloops, and other people. And what it boils down to, it's very expensive, and to get the work, it's not what they tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And 90% of people end up being divorced because they're never home. So
Mm.
hmm Well, and so this is Sandy. This is a really key point. I think we've seen this a few times in the episodes that we've done. Like, some of our guests, people would have come across when they were on the street, and they would never have known all these things
No,
about them.
no.
Like, you would never have known.
No.
If you met Guy on the street, you would never have thought, "Oh yeah, here's a helicopter pilot."
yeah.
No.
So these are the
Or a
things. when we-
millwright,
or a millwright, or a
Yes.
mechanic, a welder, a tradesman. All of these things.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So during that time, when you
Yes.
were living homeless and you were doing your winters outside, what kept you going?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Because I wanted to be reunited with my family.
Okay,
Because
so
at one time we split, and next thing we know, we're in a car, like Starbucks. We're in Starbucks parking lot. We're in the van. I can't find my key to start the van, and my wife says, "Okay, I'm leaving." I said, "Give me 3 minutes." So 2.5 minutes later, I got my van running, and then she was gone.
Guy, I just want to go back. You're in a Starbucks parking lot. You have 3 minutes. You get the car started. Your wife is gone. That's traumatic.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Oh yeah, big time. Because
Like-
at the time I had 100% custody of my daughter due to events prior, and then the ministry says, "Guy, you got 100% custody," and then what do I do? And I was like this, like for about 2 hours as well. I gotta call the cops, and one tall, very nice cop came, and I explained the situation, and I said, "Where would they be?" I said, "Well,
So your wife took your daughter
yeah,
when she left.
yeah." I said,
Oh
Give
my.
me some time. I'll find the key, or I basically told her I'll bypass the ignition, and then she left like 2.5 minutes. But anyways, like, we can't change time, right?
No,
or the
no.
past.
No.
But it was obviously a catalyst
yeah,
for you. Yeah.
yes, for
Yeah.
sure, yeah, big time,
A
yeah.
motivation.
Yeah, because like from there on, it took me 2.5, 3 years later to see them again, and I keep going to MCFD and say, "Where's my wife?" Says, and no, total idiots, but they would say, "Oh, we're not a dating agency," and it's like that was their response. I said, when I see my daughter, that was a different story. So they make me jump through hoops, and
Yeah.
you know the story pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's traumatic for anybody to navigate. It's complicated. It's not
Yes.
clear how
Yeah.
you get custody or how you get access to your child again.
Yeah.
And then if you are also living in a van or in a park
Oh, it's nearly impossible.
or in a shelter, it's
Yeah.
almost impossible to
Yeah.
deal with all of that trauma and the chaos of that lifestyle, and then also navigate the bureaucracy of the government at the same time.
Yeah.
So it must have been so stressful. for you.
Well, it's like very contradictory because you want to see your daughter, and then you say, well, you know, they send you for drug tests, they send you for all kind of things, but things were coming up negative. So it's awful. I was getting robbed just out overnight. I would wake up and I had like nothing. I would stay up so I wouldn't freeze because it was really cold. So by being up, all I had to do is walk, and I would walk like maybe close to 20 miles a day.
Like, were there things that you encountered when you became homeless that surprised you, even good things?
Oh,
things
yeah.
that you
Well, there's tons
saw.
of things, you know.
Share some
Like
of
it
those.
could be something like very simple. It's like, well, I haven't cut my nails in 2 weeks or whatever. Or you walk and then you see something on the ground. Oh, that looks like a nail clipper. But you know, it's funny because there's a lot of signs out there, and you think about something and then it happens. But it could be as simple as, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. Somebody calls you over and they say, oh, I didn't finish this. Would you want to have the other rest? So there is beauty out there still.
Generosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Mhm.
it's hard to find it. But yes, after all this is said and done, yeah, you have to be, life takes its course, I guess.
Well, because I think that a lot of people assume that everybody on the street is out to get each other. But the truth is, that's not true of everybody. There's a lot of stories of people looking after each other and looking
Yes.
out for each other.
Yeah, I learned that too.
Mhm.
You know, like I revived about, I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 people. And I had a guy who saw me the next day and he went, hey, call me A, and it right with O. And then I said, what's the matter with you? He says, you saved my life. I said, yeah. I said, well, nobody dies with a Fafard. And then as like he was pissed off that I revived him. But yes, there is some beauty out there still.
It's interesting how people can have two reactions.
Yeah.
They can either be very grateful and you have a bond,
Yeah.
or they can be very angry and in those situations. But now, so I just want to back up a little bit.
Sure.
You're on the street, you're working with the MCFD, trying to get access to your daughter. Was there anybody else that came along and helped you, or
Well,
organizations?
There's Yeko from the Upper Room
Yeah.
Mission.
Okay.
But
So you started accessing services there,
Yes.
just hanging out there kind of
Yeah,
thing? Okay.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to get the ball rolling, but it's like, I don't know. It's hard to depict. You know,
Mhm.
it's like that's another thing I didn't tell you, but I used to do pole vaulting when I was a kid. And
What? Pole vaulting?
Well, that's a good skill to pole vault
Yes,
over
that's
the
right.
back of the helicopter
But you know,
or the bus.
they tell you now you got to jump 2 feet higher than what you normally do. So it's really hard to comprehend, you know.
Yeah.
Or they say, "Oh, look at this color." But
You are a man of surprises, Guy. That is the fact. So you start accessing the Upper Room Mission in Vernon. And, at first, obviously, you're living in the midst of a lot of frustration. You didn't start off being their driver. So
Yes.
walk us through how you went from being a guest and accessing services to now being a part of the team.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, like things do happen and takes its course. I remember I was jumping in the warming up bus, and I think it was Trevor who was driving it. And I said, "Oh, I got my class 4," and he goes, "Oh, do you?" But my mind was
He didn't believe you.
possibly, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the point of it is like, even if I had my class 4, my mind was not into it. But I just wanted to share that with him, and I went to have a seat in the back or whatever. But yeah.
And then, so how long was it before you started to feel like the Upper Room Mission was a safe place for you?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
they have a
because
shelter now, but they didn't.
They do have a shelter. They didn't have a shelter then.
Those days, yeah.
And I don't know how many times, I don't have enough fingers, but I did get kicked out a few times from there and other places.
Okay, I just want to stop because I don't know you and you have history. A little bit of history.
Ask away.
Self-describe yourself when you were living on the street, or what behaviors would get you kicked out?
Well, very short wick,
Okay. So you
we got
angry would come up a little bit with other people.
frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't speak your language,
Okay.
It's a lot of frustration,
So did
and then Yako was polite and say, "Okay, I'll put your meal in the box and I'll deliver it to you."
But the last word is yours every time.
So the staff at the Upper Room Mission clearly, they liked you. They could see who you were behind the frustration and the trauma, and they wanted to invest in you. How long was that process?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I have the feeling maybe it was like a year, or probably more. Yeah. And then Yako, he says, "Hey, you can't do this." I said, "Why?" I says, "You can't run after my staff or scare them." I went, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense."
that makes sense. Was there a point when was there a turning point or a moment that you had that it was like, I don't want this life. I want to live differently?
Yes, that's a nice question. I really like it. Yeah, sometimes I was tired of getting high, and it's like it started to get boring. It's le jour de la marmotte. It's like the Groundhog Day. Things were like the same and the same, but you have to break the pattern. It's like, okay, I'm done, and basically, I basically quit drinking cold turkey. So that really helped.
That's amazing. That's a miracle.
I guess so, yeah, or divine intervention, or which other name.
Yeah.
Do you think back on that moment and go, how did I do that? Like
yes.
When you see all the other people who try to do that and fail.
But, I would say maybe it was the second or third time that happened. And it's like, okay. And because I know that I was getting probably fuel or energy from my daughter and wife without knowing it. And I was able to transpose myself. Okay, I know I have to do this, but, I don't have to say to nobody. It's something that it's my little project, and basically, okay, quit cold turkey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing willpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of, we'll come back to this again, but to round the circle. So where in that process were you able to reconnect with your wife and daughter?
It was later on. It was like 2 years later.
Okay.
Yeah, because she ended up going into a foster home for about 3 years and a bit, and it was just like MK2, and she was basically like reprogrammed, and we were teaching her French, English, Spanish, and Italian all at once. Maybe it was a bit of a big meal, but now she's like only English,
right,
and with a bit of French, and but at the time she was like pretty bilingual. I was talking with Yako, and then Yako basically says that they were in need of a driver. It's fun. It's fun. There's different route, but after a while, it's more or less the same. But you meet people, and they're proud and they're happy to contribute and make sure that everyone that uses the mission, they don't go hungry. At least on a regular basis, once a week. There's clothing, all kind of things. Like today was new, so dental office.
Now that you are part of the team at the Upper Room Mission, and you're a driver, like you said, you're there, you're an ambassador out in the community.
Yes. And I have to put my differences aside, but some people, sometimes I see a lot of people that I used to partake with, and they look at me like, "Oh, it's you." But yeah, I guess so.
What do you feel in that moment?
Well, yeah, it's strange, but you get over it. It's reality. So
yeah, very interesting.
Wow.
And so, are there things about are there, not regrets, but I think, like, are there things that you are making up lost time for now with your?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. What do I do? Well, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and now I have a bad habit. I buy cars, so I have about 4 or 5 cars.
Okay.
One here, one there, and to the point that it almost got us in trouble where we live. But no, things are good. They're not the same, and definitely better.
So
And
you're back with your wife,
yes,
and your daughter is back in your home?
yeah,
Okay. I just wanted
like
to
back
close
with
the
the
gap.
wife for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And back with my daughter, our daughter, 2 years. So it was a little period adjustment time, but it didn't take long. And so we're really fortunate, and we're really happy, and
I love that.
yeah.
I love that that redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it
Beautiful.
feel? How does it feel to know that others can depend on you?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I what are the things that you're most proud of now in your life today?
Well, to be in I would say to be regular, have a routine. That's important. More hours. If I had more hours, I probably wouldn't take them. But I'm definitely part time. I really like that,
Right.
because I still have problem with my joints and so on. So I really like part time. It's suitable.
I almost don't want to ask where that comes from, because it could be from pole vaulting.
Yeah.
It could be from helicopter flying. It could be from mechanics.
Yeah,
It
it's
could be
from
from living
wrenching.
It
outside.
could be from living outside.
Yeah,
It could be-
wrench. I
It's the
started
wrenching the
I-
seats out of the bus.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have help to hold the bolts.
But wrenching when you're 10 years old,
Yeah.
it takes its toll.
Toll.
And sleeping outside is not really good. I freeze both my hands and feet, but I'm okay now. But still, I feel it sometimes.
Not many people who work for a social agency or a mission, like a frontline shelter, not many people have experienced the life
Yes.
that
you're
the
right.
guests are living.
Yeah.
Like the people who come into the Upper Room Mission every day for meals or showers or clothing or medical attention. You've lived that life.
Yeah.
Most of the volunteers and staff have never lived that life.
No, I know.
So do you find that you're able to offer even the staff a unique perspective, or you look
Yeah,
at
I
the
guess
guests
if,
with the
you
way
know,
that
If they ask me, I'll probably tell them where I stand, or give them pointers, advice. But you're right. If you've been on the street, you know how things happen, and because streets they're not good for nobody, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
you have this knowledge and this, the ability to look back. are there some kind of, I wasn't going to say lessons, but reflections that you have, both having been off the street and on the street, sort of that you could share with us, so that maybe life lessons, learnings, things, wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, time is short.
Right.
So time is the essence, I guess, for all of us. But yeah, actually, yes, it's something that one staff told me before, and she was a nurse, and she goes, "Guy, I think." I said, "Oh, I should go back and apologize to the few, because when you drink, sometimes you say things or you do things, and you regret it afterwards." But I guess a piece of advice from her was, "No, don't worry about it, because I'll spend the rest of my life apologizing." Apologizing.
Yeah.
But in if I do an introspection, I would say, yeah. I'm glad, like, it's the will, right? You have to have the seed and say, okay, you got to carry on and develop it and stick to it. You either drink or you don't drink. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of grit and resilience in Guy's story.
Yeah.
But also, I think you have that wonderful French Canadian kind of reflective, philosophical way about you that I really appreciate.
Thank you.
And I think you're a bit of a, the first time I met you, I thought, oh yeah, this guy, he's great with his hands, but he's also a bit of a philosopher, I think.
Yeah, I would say.
I think you look at life and you're curious.
Yes.
Yeah, because even that idea of time is short, or, it's true. I think you can't spend all of your life now living in regret.
That's right.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have to live life to the fullest.
You're looking forward.
You have to. Yeah, you have to keep going. And if you live in the past, it doesn't really help.
Mhm.
It just happened. But it's weird because as you get older, time is, I guess, is exponentially shorter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Your runway's getting shorter.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're a helicopter pilot, you
Oh,
just
I
take
know.
up.
Yeah. There's the benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as a helicopter parent, do you hover over your daughter a lot?
Yeah. Yes, and I do, and I don't feel bad. But it's not easy being a parent too, because
No.
I've did a lot of work, all kind of welding and different places in Quebec, but being a parent is my hardest job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can relate to that.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably also your greatest motivation.
Oh yeah,
I'm assuming that.
very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. That's often the way it is. So, Guy, if you could say if you could do one message to someone, like to our audience, about struggling with addiction or breaking a myth about homelessness, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say open your heart and open your eyes, open your eyes, open your heart. Maybe ask if the person would like a coffee, as simple as a coffee, or donate them a pair of socks, because when you're out there, often you have your feet are wet, and then it's very terrible. You're cold, and often really cold, and it's not really pleasant. But if you get the person a coffee, you could start a conversation.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it gets back to your core, one of your characteristics of being curious. You're encouraging others to be curious about other people's lives and just don't.
Yeah, because no man is an island, I guess. So we all depend on each other in some ways, and you can't be looking at somebody and say, look what she does, or will we do the same? Will we do better in that situation? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Guy, we're grateful. We're so grateful that you come and spent time with us. I have one last question.
Okay.
So as you look to the future, your story is incredible. And I wish we had more time to hear all about the adventures and the helicoptering and the pole vaulting and all the rest of it. But Like we've just had a little glimpse of the very, very varied adventure of your life. But now as you look to the future, what are you hoping for? What are you dreaming about the next 10 years of your life? What does it look like?
It's a good question. You know, like days turn into weeks and weeks into months of sobriety. I don't even think about it. It's just like I just count the numbers, the days and the weeks. And I would say for near future, I don't know, spend more time with my family, traveling and be with my family. I think that's where it's mostly at it. And probably going back to school, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
You know.
Getting your red seal.
Yeah. Yeah. A few loose ends, but not too many.
Yeah. When we last, when we last sort of shot that video with you driving around town and stuff like that, you said these words that then inspired this interview, which was that, sobriety never tasted so good.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love that.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And I think that I just wanted to say thank you, because what has become clear in this conversation is that you have a taste for life.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's inspiring and it's hopeful. And the commitment you have and have had to not just get sober, but also to just, to pursue your wife and child and make a life together is inspiring and incredibly brave.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, Guy, it's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you. I love your sense of humor. I love your honesty.
Thank you.
And you know what? Thank you for showing up for the people in Vernon and doing what you do and being an advocate and an ally for so many people. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay.
One story, one beat, one change at a time. The reversal. Where the last word is yours every time.
Well, here we are. Wow, that was another great conversation. How did you enjoy getting to know Guy?
I loved getting to know Guy. Fascinating character. And, off the air, there was more stories that he was telling. And we're like, what? You never said that?
Yeah.
So,
he is a man of constant surprises. He just sort of has one story after another.
well, and I love food and I love to cook and all that. So his thing about how sobriety never tasted so good, like that is a loaded statement that in and of itself we could unpack. I think the thing that hit me the most in just chatting with him was the motivation of relationship.
Right.
How
much power that has.
Yeah, life is about relationship. And even in the deepest addictions, there is always this undercurrent of relationship. And as we've always kind of said, is like the poverty is not in materialism with those that struggle with homelessness or addiction. It's the poverty of relationship and how that can be such a motivator. And I mean, sadly, it's not typical that people can just cold turkey willpower and be clean.
No, that is a very unusual story.
It was Jeff.
Sure.
And it was Guy, and so anyways,
and if you haven't seen Jeff Haney's interview, we highly recommend that one as well. Another great story. But I think, was it Mother Teresa who talks about just the incredible, the most sort of pervasive traumatic poverty is that of the poverty of relationship. And we see that again today in Guy's story, the shock of, his wife and child stepping out of his life, in a 2 to 3 minute period. Yeah. And then not having any reconciliation for years,
3 years.
Yeah. So Yeah, and to see, like, having, personally, when I first encountered Guy, um, knowing that he had a reputation in his worst moments, when he was entrenched in addiction and street lifestyle, that he was disruptive and he was antagonistic, and he would literally sort of verbally corner the staff and try and aggravate them, until finally there was a little bit of this conversation, as he mentioned, with Jaco, who's the executive director at the Upper Remission, who just said, you can't do that. But I see something in you and I want to invest in you. And I think, again, to have people who are engaged with the street community and in frontline work, who can see past the trauma and see past the behavior to see the human, and to see the quality of that human, and say, you're worthy of relationship and belonging, and we want you to be a part of our community.
Yeah. I think too, just to build on that, one of the things that I believe is that, and I unlearned a lot of theology and all that kind of stuff, but I've learned and I've come to believe that people aren't inherently evil. People are inherently good. And then life circumstances, traumas, abuses, neglects, meanness, whatever, unkindness, people just build defense mechanisms, put scales around their hearts and lives, that when someone comes along and basically, like Jaco, just sees the goodness and sees the beauty and calls it out, it's been my experience that people actually respond to that when they feel that they're worthy, or they feel that they are, as Jeff Haney said, they're heard,
and seen,
that it actually is such a, and there's actually neurophysiology that says, in the world of neuroplasticity, the more that you call that out in an intense and a repetitive way, you will rebuild those neurons to the positivity as opposed to the default of anger.
Right. Those pathways are retract. Yeah. And I think, as Guy said, it wasn't an instantaneous change, although he made a choice to stop, drinking. But I think that the behavioral shift, the outlook, his perspective on the world, and even, if he was outcome based, if he was determining his success based purely on whether or not things turned out the way he wanted them to, he would have been deeply disappointed. He had to believe in something without necessarily seeing the fruit of it right away.
Right. Yeah.
It took years for his family to get put back together. And even today, like he said, he has this incredible ambassadorial role where he, by request, goes and visits businesses or whatever who have a donation for the mission, and he picks it up and takes it back. But in doing so, he becomes this ambassador that kind of represents them, right? And he knows that he could do it full time, but he chooses not to because he values relationship.
Yeah.
And he can't live in that value if he maximizes all his time running around town.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a wise man.
Yeah. Well, great note to finish this on for today. And keep tuning in. We have lots of great stories in this season of The Reversal. Once again, a deep reminder that Guy's taste for life, and as he said, the way he looks forward into the future, is sort of underpinned by the fact that sobriety has never tasted so good. He's enjoying a new lease on life, and I find that inspiring. So join us again on The Reversal, where we are looking for beauty and truth and wisdom in some of the most unlikely places.
Right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Story's yours to tell.